At RebelBio, we work with scientists and engineers because people get enormously talented and skilled focusing down on an area where they actually can produce something. They're doers. And it doesn't take much to get such intelligent, hard-working people to see that if they put just a bit of effort into business and entrepreneurship and a bit of sales, they can actually rocket forward. You know, we have transformed a lot of scientists into entrepreneurs. Unfortunately, I haven't transformed very many salespeople into scientists.
I think biology will radically transform our lives for the better. For instance, biology is becoming an information technology. So it's as exciting today in biology as it was in the computer industry in about the late 70s.
This year's cohort are working on a range of different sciences, from diagnostics, drug delivery, therapeutic development, environmental sciences. And they're working at the kind of cutting edge and applicable. So they have products, and they have products that are coming to market very, very quickly.
I'm addressing the challenge of red tide toxicity. This is a phenomenon that turns shellfish poisonous to humans. And there are no ways of detecting if shellfish is toxic or not before someone eats it. There's around 100,000 deaths because of red tide poisoning every year. That's on one hand. Also, there are billion-dollar losses in many industries like healthcare, the fishing industry, and even tourism. We have developed a kit that can detect toxicity on site. Usually, tests that are performed in the lab take around 3 days plus sample transport from the coast to the lab. We're using bacteria because they have this natural capacity to process information of what's around them. That's the way they survive. So it's like a computer without a software and without a screen. We can program them by giving them a certain DNA, and then we can give them a screen, for example, a color change, to communicate with a user. And that's how we make a biological computer. Anything that has a biological effect, theoretically, we can catch it.
Cell-free technologies, like our startup, allows anyone anywhere to unlock the cell and build anything with biology, like with Lego bricks.
The cell has billion-year-old machinery, the transcription translation machinery that reads and writes the cells, turns them into protein that you can use. And we have extracted those from the cell and added them to our kit. In the same way, in the 70s, large computers were taken from people's homes and eventually turned into the PCs we know today. It takes DNA, which is the new programming language, out of university labs and in big industrial facilities, and brings DNA and the new programming paradigm into people's homes. An example could be a number of enzymes out there that can break down plastics. And if you are so inclined, you might want to experiment with those. You could order the gene from one of our partners and put it into the kit, produce the enzyme, and possibly break down your own plastics. Because our kit is cell-free, all of the regulations and potential safety concerns that would be associated with using live organisms in your home are no longer a factor.
Biomimicry is a really powerful concept. So the World Economic Forum predicted that by 2050, 66% of the global population will live in huge cities. So we need to find solutions today, find better ways to power, feed, and clean up the present and future megacities. And biomimicry unlocks nature's most resource-efficient designs. So it's imperative for us to learn from nature.
We use ecological biomimicry to design how waste, in this case, flows through the system to come out as an end product that can be used again by people.
It's ecological biomimicry as well as biochemical biomimicry. And by learning from chemical processes in the soil and taking advantage of symbiotic relationships, we can break down more waste more effectively and create clean water. The wastewater treatment device that we've developed brings together two existing and accelerating technologies: engineered wetlands and microbial fuel cells. Engineered wetland ecosystems that use plant and microbe relationships to break down waste.
Right now, it's looking like a hexagonal column. It's about 2 by 2 meters wide.
The future of bottling nature for wastewater treatment is that waste doesn't exist in nature. Nature recycles everything. We can turn what's usually a scarcity into abundance.
Chemotherapy works in a way that you pretty much poison all of your body, and you hope that the cancer dies before the patient does. So we have developed an amino acid, and an amino acid that doesn't occur in nature. So it's made synthetically. So for example, an antibody that targets cancer, and you want to attach a toxic chemical to it so that you can target only the cancer. What the benefit is of targeting only the cancer is that you have very reduced side effects compared to chemotherapies. The ideal outcome is a complete remission of the cancer, so that they're pretty much healed. If you get the before and after pictures in front of you, you actually go like, all right, this looks like a legit miracle.
At Conchu Therapeutics, we have identified this protein. I say we, but this protein is normally produced by the mother, and it's produced during pregnancy. The protein itself is like a blanket protecting the developing baby, and this can be applied to autoimmune indications such as multiple sclerosis, colitis, rheumatoid arthritis, and a really big impact for us would be in neurodegeneration, specifically motor neuron disease, or as it's more commonly known in the United States, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS.
Diabetes is a huge problem in almost most developed nations in the world.
Our supplements work by binding with key metabolic cells in the intestines. The supplements then trigger these cells to release key metabolic hormones. These metabolic hormones have a number of functions. One is to cause the body to release insulin, and two is to stop the person from eating more. There are no supplements on the market currently that are designed to trigger these cellular receptors in the gut. Many pharmaceutical products for diabetes and obesity that are currently prescribed cost $500, $600, $700 a month, even more sometimes. By contrast, we can produce it for $40 a month. And at $40 a month, we can reach the hundreds of millions of people around the world that are suffering from diabetes and metabolic syndrome. Not only everyone in the United States, but really all people around the world.
There are several benefits of repurposing small molecules. For example, it's possible to reduce the cost, the time, and most importantly, the risk for the patient. Machine learning is a hot trend at the moment, and we use them to calculate the probability that a small molecule hits a protein. And we use this to identify new possible treatments. For companies that help patents for existing drugs, we can use our method to analyze new possible application for these small molecules, and after that they can apply for new patents, increasing the value of the IP that they already have. So we already know the toxicity, we already know if it's safe. Probably, yeah, this is one of the most revolutionary elements, because this can reduce the price of developing a new drug, which is about 2.5 billion to 500 millions, and reduce that time from 20 years to 5 years.
Biology is becoming more and more powerful to change our lives for the better. And it started just with Mendel's genetics and selective breeding in crops and bees and the animals we surround ourselves with. Then we discovered restriction enzymes and PCR to copy-paste fragments of DNA and grow it up in a tube. It's unbelievable. And today we have even more powerful tools like genome editing.
In our case, we develop a product which is equivalent to a natural mutation or evolution. We don't bring any foreign genetic materials. We tweak the gene which is already present inside the plant. So far we have a soya with high oleic oil content. It is non-transgenic, and the oil composition of our product is equivalent to olive oil. So we can actually use this oil for frying food product at higher temperature, and also to store fried product for a longer period of time without sacrificing food quality and taste. We hope to work on several agricultural products which are important for the future generation. We would like to be a leader in biotechnology, and we would like to bring food for the future.
We take the whole laboratory procedure for testing for chlamydia and gonorrhea and put it into a simple pen that anybody can use. And they know the results in 30 minutes or less. Normally, for people to get tested, they have to go to the doctor, they have to take off work, they have to talk about their sexual life. That's all very embarrassing, and there can be a lot of shame with sexually transmitted infections. What our product allows people to do is test in the privacy of their homes, know really quickly, and even test their partners. So the product is very important now because relationship styles are changing. Rates of chlamydia and gonorrhea are rising globally. Our platform is really powerful because it's DNA-based, and everything that has life or is life-based has DNA. So we can monitor chlamydia and gonorrhea in low-resource settings, but we don't have to stop there. We can do water monitoring, and we can even track epidemics right there in the field. Anything in biology and life, this can touch.
Canoevo is the next evolution of medical cannabis. We're turning plants into medicine that doctors can prescribe with confidence to their patients in need.
When you look at the regulatory environment, it was generated decades ago. And the change in the precision of what we do, the change in the impact of what it has been exponential in that time. So regulation is struggling to catch up.
Always a question that I get from potential customers is, will this product with CBD make me high? The answer to that is very simple, no. CBD is a non-psychoactive cannabinoid, and THC is the psychoactive cannabinoid mostly associated with the illicit drug use of cannabis. We are developing a technology that will deliver the cannabis compounds, such as CBD, but also others, to specific parts in the body in a way that we can control and characterize. We want to bring this to cannabis so that we can say this drug that we made from cannabis is going to work for this disease or for this condition. The standardization and clinical trials that are repeatable are important to bring it to that pharmaceutical status.
We need better ways to deliver drugs today because, for instance, with cancer drugs, there are so many side effects. So if we have, let's say, scientists who can engineer biomolecular machines to help the cellular uptake, so to get stuff inside the cell, it could be anything from fluorescent molecules to genetic software instructions, so plasmids, or cancer drugs.
Psycha Oncosolutions has developed a delivery device that delivers the drugs in a programmable way directly into the cells without doing any damage to the cells. This can be used for a wide range of applications to deliver drugs or genes or protein therapeutics and fluorescent dyes, of course. It's like, you cross the automatic doors, just you pass in and the door closes. Exactly like that, the delivery device goes into the cell, crosses the membrane, goes inside, and the membrane reseals. In the cell model that we have developed, we have seen at least 20 times reduction in the dose. So we expect the side effects of anti-cancer drugs would be reduced by at least 20 times. And that would be tremendous contribution in the chemotherapy side effects.
One of the misery of cancer is the time wasted by the patients while they are waiting for an accurate diagnosis. OACP kills that misery by reducing the time for the test. Our patent products impart testing by increase the efficiency of DNA. We sell our product to diagnostic labs, to hospital and to research center. Thanks to our product, we could improve the quality of life of millions of cancer patients. Our technology has been already validated and in a large case control study. So we are faster than competitor, we are cost reducer, and also the lab does not require to buy another dedicated equipment or to train in a different way the lab technician. So it's very, very easy to use and not expensive at all.
There is a microalgae industry out there at the moment that's trying to produce oil and valuable food-related products and things, but it doesn't add up from an economical point of view. So in future, what you're going to see more of is microalgae producing drugs and valuable proteins.
Persistent bleedings are common side effects anticoagulants have. In immunology, we mitigate these effects using microalgae to produce uridine, a safer anticoagulant created by nature. Uridine is better than other anticoagulants because it targets directly the molecule that it starts all the process of the coagulation. We have taken a leech's DNA and we have fused it with microalgae, creating this new kind of algae, but at the same time producing a superior form of iodine. What it does is decreases the risk of other anticoagulants such as warfarin or heparin.
As technology has improved with the last number of years, we're discovering more and more natural compounds which have medicinal health effects. And small life is a good example of utilizing one of those.
Any plant or vegetable can go through our technology and produce small molecules. When we actually joined RebelBio, we were not targeting the sun care market. We were just looking at the small molecules. And RebelBio helped us to look that side of the business. And they showed us that that is where you can generate the revenue in small period of time. For the small molecule drug discovery process, it takes 18 months, while in normal drug discovery process, it takes 5 to 6 years to identify the target and identify the leads. SOLIFE technology takes 3 to 4 months for the formulation of sun care creams. Initially, we have formulated sun care which can help to protect from UV damage as well as produce vitamin D. About half of the world population is vitamin D deficient because people are afraid of getting skin damage. The sun care market is growing enormously and it is predicted to be reaching $179 billion by 2022. We have added additional health benefit to our cream, which is going to help to synthesize vitamin D. So that is going to help the sun care market to grow more than what we predicted.
Cosmetics and indeed food as medicine become more and more important. I think there's a greater onus on scientists to actually prove that they have products that actually do something.
Our products are demanded by cosmetic companies that are looking forward to make better their product formulations with active ingredients that are produced in a sustainable way. And this allows our customers for the same ingredient price to increase their margin and deliver the high efficacy of the products to their customers. Those rare plants are really endangered and threatened. They're becoming more and more scarce and are inaccessible to the industry. We take only one tiny sample, only once in the nature, without harming the plant, take it to the laboratory, extract cells and grow them in bulk quantities. And we're looking forward to launch our first cosmetic ingredients in the very beginning of 2018.
I put down milestones for what I thought they could achieve in 3 months, and then I stood back and looked at them, and having spent many years in a lab, I thought, am I being too ambitious here? And we've completely smashed all of them. And it's great because it says a lot about the teams. Once they can stand in front of an investor and say, look at how much I've achieved with so few resources or with so little money in 3 months, imagine what I'd do with investment.
So I'm here as an investor. So I invest from a Rainbow Seed Fund, which is a UK-based seed Series A fund. So what we like doing is we like finding interesting companies that have got clever technology, and we work with them at a really early stage. And what RebelBio does is it finds teams that have got good ideas, puts them together, and it gets them that first embryonic piece of evidence around the technology, which lets us look at them and make a call on whether we think it's going to be a good idea and has got some potential that we can back, or it's a crazy idea and it could be worth investing, or it's a stupid idea and we should walk away from it.
The sector focus of the fund is really, really broad. So we're looking at, deep tech, we're looking at biotech, agtech, life sciences, AI, machine learning, all those kind of, disruptive sectors.
We do very early stage investments in scientists and young entrepreneurs like the guys here who have great ideas for therapeutics.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Before we meet the rebels, please welcome John Lloyd.
So why am I here? I'm not a scientist, I'm not an economist or a financier, I'm not even a lawyer. I am actually the Professor of Ignorance at Southampton University. It's a position I'm actually very proud of because ignorance is what drives science. What we do at QI is we trawl through this immense amount, this morass of information, much of it very, very dull and very technical, and pick out the interesting nuggets. And actually that's exactly what RebelBio do, because each year They have submissions from literally thousands of scientists all over the world, and they pick just 15 brilliant ideas and make something of them, make them money, give them an opportunity. And in the course of that, what they do is they make the world measurably better. What's going on in science is just amazing, and it's a fantastic time to be a scientist. And the young scientists you'll meet today are literally the future of the world. I'd like to introduce you now to two of my colleagues at QI, two of the QI elves, as they're called, who are going to help Elizabeth shepherd you through the day, Anna Szynski and James Harkin.
To kick us off today, we have for you Emilia Diaz.
If you've ever had a bad oyster, you know it looked wonderful. It tasted amazing. And yet the next day you were so sick you wanted to die. Well, some people do. They could carry this. An on-site kit for the detection of shellfish toxicity that simply changes color to alert you of a toxic sample. In 2 years, this will be field-ready kits for the shellfish industry and the common consumer that will take us all the way to break even.
Something like 1 in 10 people get food poisoning every year, and if we can kind of cut that kind of thing out, is that what we're looking for?
Ideally, yeah, that could be like the last stage of this.
Sure.
Food toxicity in general.
Water is life. Water scarcity is a global problem. New Leaf harnesses the power of nature, turning waste into a resource. The new tree can completely treat thousands of liters a day without odor. We've won a Stanford Award, filed a provisional patent, built a horizontal proof of concept, and have had global market validation. We've sold our first system. Our next goals are to create modular systems to be scalable by 2019. Join us as we turn a new leaf in tech.
When skin is exposed to UV, it produces DNA damage, which leads to skin damage. To protect from this damage, people apply sunscreen. And how does the sunscreen work? Just like this. It shields your skin from UV rays, which is good, but it completely blocks vitamin D production. And vitamin D is critical to life. To overcome this problem, we have formulated a novel, natural midnight sunscreen that protects your skin from UV rays and also give you daily dose of vitamin D.
So you're saying you can take this thing at night and be protected
the
following day?
Yeah, so you apply at night and it will get absorbed in the body.
Blood sugar. Just enough, that's sweet. Too much, and it's treat and test and repeat over and over again and hope it doesn't get any worse. We looked at 24 plant compounds to see how they would perform against this mechanism. And surprisingly, one of them worked even better than the best drug candidate, while at the same time, it was a whole lot more safe and much, much cheaper. Because at that point, we realized we didn't just have a new type of expensive diabetes treatment. What we had was something safe, effective, and affordable that could dramatically change the lives of hundreds of millions of people around the world.
Genetically modified plants are usually produced by integrating foreign genetic materials which are originated from bacteria or virus or animals. They think just like this. Many people prefer natural products which are obtained through conventional breeding. Our business strategy is to generate revenue as early as possible by marketing our first product, soya, in collaboration with the South and North American companies. And we are also developing cotton, strawberry, and turf grass in collaboration with India, American, and South Korean companies. We also invite all of you to help us and collaborate with us to develop food for the future.
Make it medicine! This is Vera's demand, and it stems from her daughter Ava's battle with Dravet syndrome, a severe form of epilepsy that causes the child to have between 10 and 20 epileptic seizures a day. In her desperation, her mother Vera decided to use an extract from cannabis. And after the first administration, the family experienced 11 seizure-free days. Ava is now starting to talk and making progress in school, two things that were previously not possible. However, in the eyes of Western medicine, this is not a pharmaceutical. We founded RebelBio Demo to put the science into cannabis and turn it into medicine that doctors can prescribe with confidence to their patient. Because you never know, maybe in 10 or 15 years, and given the chance, it might be Ava standing right here and pitching to you guys her idea.
1850, it was used in the US to treat tetanus, typhus, cholera, rabies, dysentery, alcoholism, anthrax, leprosy, snake bites, tonsillitis, and insanity. But what it seems to me is it's going to come back, right? And so there'll just be 100 and odd years in human history where we didn't use it, and the rest of the time we will have done.
Today here, I want to introduce to a scientific way how to make beauty more sustainable. My co-founder Martin and I worked for 7 years with cosmetic companies, helping them to find effective ingredients and to launch great product formulations. This is our solution. With this, we make the inaccessible accessible. We make our clients excited and happy. And we have signed a letter of intent with our first customer. And with this in your gift bags, we can prove that our ingredients can already be used efficiently in skin-benefiting formulations.
Leeches produce an amazing natural and powerful anticoagulant, Hiridine. The problem is that milking leeches is both impractical and disgusting. We have taken leeches' DNA and fused it with microalgae, creating our own improved strain. We have been capable of profitably producing small batches of Hiridine, value of $1,000 per milligram, in 3 days.
So in the olden days, like you would put a leech on your body, fine, but if it was inside your body, how do you deal with it then? They used to put a little leash on the leech and let it kind of crawl down and then pull it back up again.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think this is much nicer. It's a much nicer solution, right?
Sex. We like to romanticize it, but when it comes to being tested for sexually transmitted infections, this intimacy becomes, like we say in Texas, downright shameful. Relationships change quickly, and with chlamydia and gonorrhea on the rise globally, people need tools to know their status fast. We need to democratize diagnostics the same way the pregnancy tested 30 years ago. Last weekend's social media campaign got 20,000 followers on Facebook, and our following is growing by the minute. We're offering you the opportunity to put cutting-edge diagnostics in the hands of people that need them.
Inflammata, to catch on fire. The Latin for inflammation. The body's normal response to infection, to chemical exposure, or to damage. But there are two phases to inflammation. A short dose is good. It promotes healing. But chronic inflammation results in damage and is the basis for many diseases from multiple sclerosis to colitis and arthritis. Our drug, a biologic, is from a family of native proteins produced during pregnancy. This baby protein is known to balance the immune system. Now, our drug could be considered like the class of anti-TNF-alpha monoclonal antibodies, a $30 billion market, but ours pockets the win. And we are passionate about bringing this biologic from the academic bench direct to the patient bedside.
And am I right in thinking that you're developing a protein which basically is similar as you get in a placenta, is that right?
Exactly. This protein is abundantly pumped out during pregnancy and is very important for pregnancy. So the safety profile of this protein is already proven.
Waiting sometimes is joyful, but sometimes it could be miserable. And as a biologist in my city hospital, I've performed over 15,000 of these tests. And every one of those patients pushed me to fix the problem. We have performed a large case control study. With this amazing solution, we address the in vitro diagnostic market, which is a big and growing market. We have competitors, but we are the best.
Healing for a cancer patient means getting very sick. Chemotherapy hits everything in the hope that the cancer dies before the patient. Well, often that's just not achieved. To better target the cancer, scientists use proteins called antibodies. Balance Biotech is a technology that lets you make a single defined antibody with a defined number of drugs attached to it. The process is very straightforward. This enables us to make these drugs at a 50-fold reduced cost compared to our closest competitor. Why should you give us money? Because we can make it work for you. In the last 3 months, we've filed a patent that protects our technology, We have scaled up the synthesis of our proprietary amino acid to a 50-gram batch, and we've sold this for 3,000 euros to a market leader. Additionally, we've made history and produced the cheapest protein conjugate to date.
So this is amazing. This is surely the effects of chemo is one of the biggest problems in medicine at the moment. Yeah. And you're basically taking this antibody, like a Peter Parker, is that Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Antibody, and turning him into Spider-Man by adding like superpowers to it, and then just sending him to go and kill just the cancer.
Yeah, therapy.
And you can put a backpack on depending on what kind of cancer it is to make sure it's specific.
Yes, that's one of the goals, and especially with our technology, since we bring down the cost even more, this would be a way to go, yes.
I synthesized 20 new molecules in my PhD. All of them killed cancer cells, but they were all toxic. Because every cell in our body has a cell membrane that protects us like border control. It doesn't allow everything to get in. That's why we have developed Psycha delivery device to cross the cell membrane without doing any harm, just like you cross automatic doors with your luggage. Psycha delivery device can pack and carry virtually anything, right from small molecules or fluorescent dyes to anti-cancer drugs to plasmids.
Ashley is suffering from a rare disease and has no hope that a pharmaceutical company will develop a treatment. However, what if the medicine she needs has already been invented? What if it's in her medicine cabinet right now? Sometimes, we're also going to find a molecule that no one owns. We're going to patent it for us and sell it for more money. If you're an investor interested in this area, or if you have a set of molecules that you would like us to analyze, talk to us because we can teach old drugs new tricks.
It's AI taking these things and working out what else they might be able to do.
Yes, servers working doing artificial intelligence, machine learning.
Because you mentioned Viagra, but actually quite a few drugs have been for one thing and then moved on to something else, haven't they?
But so this basically would fast track the process whereby we discover that?
They've already been tested, right? They're already, exactly. We know they're safe, and so it means that we can appropriate them.
Our solution is a technology that involves breaking open cells very delicately and preserving the biomolecular machinery in extract that is responsible for reading DNA and writing protein, enzyme, and molecule. All we do is we take a piece of DNA, such as this, we add it to a tube of our extract. This allows us to produce an extract that empowers you to create almost anything. We're shifting gears and approaching scale production. As we are a high potential growth startup based in Ireland, your investment will be joined by an optional 25k from our lead investor, SOS Ventures, as well as a further optional 250k from Enterprise Ireland. We are cell-free technology and we enable inspiration.
Incredibly innovative, isn't it? Suddenly taking the machinery of the cell and getting it to do other things that you couldn't do before.
I think we were discussing it earlier as the Raspberry Pi of biology.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the extraordinary Bill Liao.
When you look at tech investment, you're bringing products to market quickly. The products are scalable, have a massive impact. They work right now. They don't need a ton of regulatory approval. And ultimately, they're platforms that can be used to leverage something else or make something even bigger. Every one of the teams you saw today has those characteristics. What used to be scary and difficult is now precise and clever. I ask you, consider taking a little risk on one of these companies, and all they need is a little bit of love from you guys and cash.
Biology has a way of always turning out to be more complicated than we hoped, but there's clearly a lot of really elegant concepts that are being discovered and developed, and I think they have certainly the potential to really deliver step-change solutions.
What I've seen here is actually completely different from what I'm used to. They're actually changing the world, you know. They make the world a lot better. They remove pain, they make breathable air, they make food that we can eat without being poisoned. So they actually make the world sensibly better.
I think they're all very commercially driven entrepreneurs, every single one of them, and you could see that in today's pitches. You know, they all, even though they're all scientists by background, you know, you could see the commercial opportunity that each of them presented, and I think a lot of them will go really far and be really successful.
They're really blending what has been so successful in the tech space, this idea of the accelerator model and these 3-month blitzes, and trying to merge that with the traditionally slow, plodding world of biotech.
What RebelBio could contribute to the world is hopefully unleash the entrepreneurial bug in the research community, in the academic community, in companies, in young students, and I would love to see that the founder stories and how they created something amazing from just a cell can inspire others to go down the same path.
My personal goal is really to see the world change for the better with the power of startup companies.